Sanjay Suri, appreciate you joining us to give us a heads up on what we can expect. We're now joined by Richard Heald, the CEO of the UK-India Business Council, joins us live from London. Richard, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. Let me start by asking you about what's been the big highlight from the UK-India CEO Forum. The CEO Forum being headed from the Indian side by Ajay Piramal, from the UK side by Jerry Grimstone of Standard Life. What were the areas of opportunity and the areas of contention?
Well, Shireen, thank you very much. I have to say that your Prime Minister is very welcome here. He's brought with him some of the best weather that we've had so far this year. So that certainly has been cheered us all up. Yes, you're quite right. We had a CEO forum held just a few hours ago, and it was addressed by both Prime Minister May and also by Prime Minister Modi. There was a very good turnout of senior Indian industrialists, and also a very good turnout of major UK companies that invest in India. And there were three real topics that were discussed. The first was technology and technology collaborations. The second was, in the context of Brexit, how can we actually improve bilateral investment and bilateral trade? And the third element was data. And data management, data capture, how it can be leveraged, how it can be protected, and how it can be secured. So those were the three key discussion points around the table between the CEOs.
Several MOUs have been signed as well, but Richard, the UK continues to be a large investor into India, and Indian companies have also been stepping up investments into the UK. Given the fact that you're on the cusp of exiting the EU, the bilateral relationship and equation between India and the UK will have to be redrawn in that context. Given that, what are the specific areas that you believe, India will want the UK to sort of, whether it's opening up or providing faster access? What are the specific issues that have been raised by CEOs on both sides in a post-Brexit world?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I mean, the key focus that we've seen in the bilateral discussions, both within the CEO forum and between the two prime ministers, has been around technology. And there's been an announcement this afternoon from the two governments that we're going to have a strategic technology partnership, which really does focus on key elements of the developing economy within India and the UK. I mean, key points that have come out of the announcement is that there's going to be a centre of excellence set up focusing on future mobility, green cars, green mobility out of Pune, and also there's going to be a similar sort of focus on artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, augmented reality, virtual reality type coding, and that's going to be based in Bangalore. So very much a technology focus. And I think also there was a very strong recommendation from both sets of CEOs that we should be working together to find the right framework and parameters in which to manage data and to control data and to use data. And clearly, we've seen certain situations recently with Facebook, etc. We're seeing legislation coming in from Europe in relation to privacy and data. And there is a feeling that actually UK and India should be working together to put a framework in front of both governments so that we can actually crystallize regulation to the betterment of society. One of the contentious issues that UK companies have addressed in the past have to do with tax issues in India, whether it's Vodafone or Kane, UK-headquartered companies, are now involved in arbitration proceedings against the Indian government internationally. Was this concern raised in any form or fashion? Yeah, well, there was a discussion around ease of doing business, and I think you know, in any bilateral relationship, there are always issues on both sides. I think how I would summarize it is that both the government and the corporates reinforce the necessity to adhere to the rule of law, to arbitration processes that are ongoing in that. I think that's tremendously important to give corporates and investors the confidence in which to invest going forward. At the same time, there were issues raised by the Indian side with regard to the UK, with regard to Tier 2 visas, the ongoing situation, as well as to do with totalization, which is the issue of national insurance being paid in the IT sector, those Indians who are working here. Both of these were raised with the respective governments, and I think that both prime ministers said that they would take these away and reflect on them.
You know, one of the other issues I understand that was discussed as part of the bilateral discussion between Prime Minister Modi and Theresa May was the issue of economic offenders. And India has, of course, been raising the concern about UK providing a safe haven to economic offenders. Was there any conversation around this issue, Richard?
No, there was nothing raised in the bilateral, at least in the CEO forum, on that point. I'd be very surprised if there was. I wasn't sitting obviously in the bilateral, so I have no view on that. Other than I would say that we have a legal process here. These things are going through a legal process, and one has to see how those play out. So I'm not sure I necessarily agree with your characterization of the UK being a safe haven. I think that we've got a legal process. That's not my characterization. That's the view of the Indian government. But Richard, in terms of FDI from the UK into India, as I pointed out, you're one of the largest investors into India. Do you believe that the momentum is going to continue to be as robust as we've seen in the past? You've just, in fact, before the Prime Minister's visit, put out a report. The UKIBC has put out a report on the areas of opportunity for UK businesses and for Indian businesses looking to invest in the UK. What's the projection in terms of FDI? Well, we had some, we're very positive about FDI, both from India into the UK and UK into India. I think the rationale for both sets of corporates to invest in each other's countries is still as robust as ever. But at the same time, we're seeing announcements of further deals being done between our two countries. We're also hearing that GSK is going to be opening its new factory within a few months. We believe that there are other announcements imminent in terms of companies that are either going to be moving to India or indeed are going to be expanding their manufacturing bases. So yes, we're very positive.
Well, Richard Hield, we will keep checking in with you, but appreciate you joining us here to give us a sense of what transpired at the UK-India CEO Forum and really where this unbeatable partnership, as the two nations like to call it, is headed. Appreciate your time here on CNBC TV18. Richard Hield, the CEO of the UK-India Business Council, joining us live from London. Back home, bankers who were hoping